Hey guys, Nick here for Rev3 Games, and I'm here with Ray Winninger, executive producer from Harebrained Schemes, to take a look at Golem Arcana, which is a sort of hybrid tabletop iPad game. Is that right? It seems more tabletop than iPad, based on what I've seen.
It is a little bit more tabletop than iPad. So
Yeah.
what it really is it's taken a traditional tabletop miniatures type board game, and we're trying to leverage the power of a smart device like an iPad, a smartphone, or whatever to really enhance the gameplay and make the game more accessible, make it easier to play, and do some really cool things that you haven't been able to do in board games before.
Awesome. Well, let's take a look at it.
So, okay, so Golem Arcana, basically what this is all about is imagine a giant war between two fantasy armies, right? And the weapon of choice in this war are these golems, and these golems are these magical creatures, big giant magical creatures. If you look closely at the little figurines here, you can see that they're actually piloted by these little sorcerers. So a little sorcerer rides each one of them into combat, and they do battle with each other. So I mentioned that it's a standard kind of tabletop miniatures board game, but we leverage the power of smart device to make things simple. So for instance, if I wanted to move a character, let's say I wanted to go ahead and move this Dune Viper here into this guy's square so he can attack.
Gotcha.
So the way I do that is all the golem's abilities are printed around their base there, and I find his little movement over here, and
It's
I go
like
ahead and I
two
tap
little feet,
that.
right?
It's like the two little feet, exactly. And now I just tap the region I want to move him into, which is here, and I press the confirm button, and there he goes. Now he's in there. Now that he's in there, he can attack. And so again, pretty much the same thing. I go ahead and I find one of his attacks I want to use. I can tap it on the base, or I can tap it on his card. So let's use the card this time.
And I noticed they all have correlated action point costs. So walking costs 1, and these attacks cost 1 or 2.
That's right, exactly. You get 6 action points on your turn. You can use those to use any combination of your golem's abilities. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do his Slippery Strike. And I tap that on the card, and now I just tap the target, so I go ahead and tap this golem here. And what's happened here is the app has done all that gamer math for me. It's figured out that I have a 67% chance to hit, and I'm going to do 8 damage, and it's done all of that, so I don't have to remember any of those rules about cover and line of sight and any of that sort of stuff.
Wow.
Now, if I'm interested, I can just click this, and I can drill down in, and it'll go ahead and it'll show me the math and show me how it figured all that stuff out. But I don't think I really care about that. So let's just go ahead and we'll take this shot. 67% chance to hit,
Let's
8
see.
damage. 80's a miss. So I missed. But it's as simple as tap your attack, tap your target, press the button. And the app does all that math and all that other stuff that can become a pain in these games from time to time.
And I noticed there are also these control cards here, which have sort of your ability to end your turn, different armies that you can select, stuff like that. How does this incorporate into the game?
So the control card basically allows you to access information screens on the device very quickly. So for instance, if you want an overview of the map, let's say, like what's the whole map situation, I just tap map on the control card and we zoom out and it gives me a nice battlefield, overhead map. It's pretty simple when we only have one little map tile like this, but in a big game that can be really useful. Or if I want a summary of my whole army, what the status is of every one of my golem army, I just tap the army thing and the little army icon there, and it goes ahead and gives me that.
Cool.
So we use the tablet or the smartphone to make the game simple and more playable than most games like this. But we also use it to do a handful of things that you just haven't really been able to do in a board game before. So for instance, our scenario designers, when they design these specific golem scenarios, they have this really nice toolkit they can use to embed all sorts of little surprises and secrets and hidden things in the scenario. You can think of it almost like a level designer in a video game, all the cool things they can do. And so what that means is when we sit down to play, there's stuff about the battle that we're playing that neither of us knows, and the app is going to act almost like a game master in a role-playing game. As we're going through, it's going to spring surprises on us. We might meet an NPC in the middle of the battle that we can have a conversation with, and that will change up the way things work. Or all sorts of crazy stuff can happen there.
So currently, it's a one-on-one game primarily?
We support up to 4 players. Most of the scenarios are one-on-one, but you can play with up to 4 players.
Cool. And so these 2 red characters would be on one side? Is
yes,
that correct?
they're from a faction we call the Gadana Dominion. You can think of them kind of like Genghis Khan in a fantasy world sort of thing. And these are their mortal enemies, the Durrani. And the Durrani are kind of they have an Indian flavor, but they're sort of the big ornate large fantasy city. So you want to try taking a swing at me?
Sure.
Okay, let's. I'm going to go ahead and end my turn. now.
Okie doke.
And press OK. And so, okay, so you're the drawing emperor. So you're this guy here.
Right.
And now you have the 6 action points. You can take your turn with this as your card if you need it over there with your different abilities and stuff, and you can do any of those things.
So this character has the ability to fly, right?
Yes, he can fly and walk.
What is the difference between flying and walking?
Well, the main difference is that flight isn't, the terrain doesn't affect flight at all. So it's a little bit slower to walk through the woods and walk up the hills and that sort of thing, but with flight you can just move over any space freely.
Let's see here. So simply by touching it, that's how you sort of activate these abilities?
Yep, simply by touching, exactly.
So if I want to select an attack on the Winged Preserver, for example, if I wanted to do his Stumbling Quake, I just poke that ability.
Yep.
And then I tap the target.
And it's going to show you, now Stumbling Quake is actually a ranged attack, and I'm too close for you to use it on that guy, but you could use it on that guy. Your in melee attack is your scythe that's indicated by the little fist.
Gotcha, and that actually does more damage, I'm noticing, so I think I probably want to use the scythe. And once I've selected that, I select the target, right?
Yep, you just tap the little sticker, and there's the gamer math for you.
Gotcha.
53%
so there's a
chance
53% chance they'll hit. And if I want to break that down a little more in depth,
you just click both buttons simultaneously.
Gotcha. So the reason that there was a 53% chance to hit is because it's 75% accurate, but the opponent character has a 22% dodge ability, so that's the final math there.
Final's 53, that's exactly how it works. 37 is a hit, and you do 27 damage to me.
Cool.
Ouch.
Awesome, and I still have a few action points left, right? But can I only attack once per turn, or?
Nope, you can keep using an ability. Now, once you've used an ability in your turn, what happens is it gets a little bit more expensive to use again. It works kind of like a video game. We have the concept of cooldown on an ability. So when you use it, it kind of charges up a little bit, and you have to wait for it to kind of come back down. So you could use that same scythe attack again, but now it's going to be 4 AP instead of 2 because you've already used it once.
Gotcha, and these are the type of things that in a normal board game you would have to just hold in your head and remember over the course of your turn. So ranged abilities like Stumbling Quake and Lightning Bolt, are they indicated by the this Lightning Bolt on here?
Yes, so there's right next to the attack name on the card, you can see there's a little icon, a fist for a melee attack or a Lightning Bolt for a ranged attack.
Gotcha.
And what that Lightning Bolt there indicates is the actual range, so how many squares away
and
you can attack.
Does it include diagonals? Does it have to?
It's orthogonals only. So I think with your Lightning Bolt, you could reach all the way across the board.
Gotcha. Well, I think the more prudent move might be, based on my current number of action points, I might want to do Stumbling Quake because it does slightly more damage.
There you go.
And then I want to try to hit this dude with it.
Okay, go for it.
All right, let's 50% chance to hit, or no, 29. Yeah. Let's see here.
My guy's fast over there.
He is.
Missed. Now, a bunch of these attacks have special abilities associated with them. So Stumbling Quake is a great example of that. And you can see there's a little star next to them. And on the back of the card, it will tell you, for instance, that if you hit with Stumbling Quake, what you do is you slow my movement for 2 rounds. So you can basically freeze me in place.
Oh, cool.
And a lot of the depth in the gameplay comes from finding the right golems and combining their special abilities in interesting ways.
Gotcha. And so I noticed on the Kickstarter page for the game, you guys mentioned that you wanted to make a game that is augmented by these iOS devices, but keeps you mostly focused on the board and on the game.
Absolutely, that's very important to us. So our roots are actually, although these days we're known for Shadowrun and some of that stuff, our roots are actually way back in the old tabletop games. That's where we all came from. Jordan, our founder, created the old Shadowrun role-playing game and BattleTech and WizKids and all of that. We love these particular games, and we think there's just something special and magical about the social interaction that happens when we're sitting around a physical board pushing pieces back.
Totally. Makes a lot of sense. Alrighty. And I think I'm down to 1 AP, and there's not much I could do with that because my move speed is pretty expensive with a guy this big.
Yeah.
What is this Keen Eye asset that I have down here?
So the Keen Eye is actually, if you go ahead and tap that little icon on your thing, what you're gonna see there is, so this is the knight. I mentioned before that the golems are actually powered or piloted by these little sorcerer knights.
Right.
That's the knight who's piloting your golem, and he too has powers and capabilities. So he has a power called Keen Eye that you can activate for 1 AP, and that means he'll get it boosts the accuracy of all his attacks for a couple of turns.
It probably would have been better for me to use before I attacked.
Yeah, probably so.
That's the learning process, I guess.
The knights are actually digital characters that you get inside the Golem Arcana app. So in addition to the physical pieces, there are these digital characters you can get inside the app, and you can put those in your army and get cool powers and abilities from them too.
Cool. So I'll go ahead and end my turn.
Yep.
Pass it to you.
Over to me. Okay. So I am gonna, my Dune Viper here in your space, he's gonna go ahead and try his Slippery Strike.
Gotcha. And can we control the camera at all?
We can, so we can zoom and we can pivot and we can do all that sort of stuff. So
cool.
We're in attack here. So I'm gonna go ahead and try Slippery Strike on this guy. I get a 67% chance to hit on Slippery Strike, so I'm going to go ahead and take that.
All right.
And I roll a 63, which is a hit. Now I mentioned that each of these golems have little special powers and abilities on their attacks. Here's a great example of that. So when I hit you with Slippery Strike, this character has the ability to get a free move out of your space. So he's a real fast golem. He comes in, he hits you, and then he slinks away. So now I'm going to go ahead and I get to tell it where I want to move out to. So I'm going to jump back on this hill.
So you get this free move here.
Take the high ground, exactly, and go up there. Okay, so I got what, 4 AP left, huh? Time to bring in the Sand Lion. So he's gonna.
And so during the setup for a game, how is it determined? I've got like one big unit, you've got two sort of medium-sized units.
Yep.
Yeah, how does that sort of unfold, I guess, at the start of a match?
So that's specified by, we have this concept what we call scenarios. When you launch the game, there's a whole bunch of them you can pick from. Scenarios represent different famous battles in our fantasy world, or just some simple scenarios like, meeting engagement or something like that. Normally what a scenario will do is it will specify a certain point value that you can use to buy golems. So basically you build an army at 500 points, say, and make the best army you can for 500 points, consisting of golems and those little sorcerer knights and so forth. So okay, now that I'm in your square, Mr. Sandlion, I'm gonna try to bite you.
Okie doke.
So
2 AP, 75% accuracy, and 31 damage.
And 67% chance to hit, 17 damage, and I roll an 06, which is another hit, and another 17 damage.
So in general, it seems like the lower your roll, the better, right?
That's right.
As long as it's underneath the accuracy number,
exactly.
you made it.
That's right. So when your total final accuracy here says 67, that means you have a 67% chance to hit. Roll the dice, and if you roll a 67 or lower. So I'm going to go ahead and end my turn now and give it back to you.
Alrighty. Let's see here. And if I wanted to check, so I do really like that on top of each of the characters, you can kind of see their health.
Yep.
I've still got that 20% accuracy boost from the turn prior. If I wanted to get more information on this character's health specifically.
So all you need to do is go ahead and tap his name on the card there, and it's going to pull up an info screen and give you his health bar and everything else about him.
Cool. So the Sandlion currently has 34 health. If I hit him with this scythe, which does 35 damage, in theory, that should be enough to kill him. I've got a 79% chance to hit because I still have that accuracy boost, so let's see if this works. Oh, jeez. It seemed like a sure thing. Well, I still have, what, 2 AP left?
Yes.
I can't really afford another scythe.
It's all the way up to 8 now because you've been using it.
They keep, that stays
it stays
from
until
turn to turn.
Cools all the way down after a turn. Yeah.
Well, as he's my only unit, I'm kind of, I'm limited to what I can do with him. I could attempt a lightning bolt across the map and try to hit this dude with it. 68% chance to hit. Not my day. You rigged it. Cool. Well, I guess that's.
Well, and speaking of, I should mention, by the way, that we've been using the stylus and the pad to automatically roll the dice, but you can roll old-fashioned dice too, because some of us gamers, we just like the dice. And we
makes sense.
Do that. So
cool. And so about how long does a usual match of Golem Arcana take?
So our standard sort of on 6 tiles, what we call a 500-point game, which is usually 3 to 4 golems per side. You can play that in about 25 minutes, which again. Is really speaks to the power of the device assisting you.
Yeah.
Handling all those rules and all that stuff, just you can see we're kind of moving right along here.
Totally.
At a nice clip.
You can see how after like even one game, it just becomes as quick as targeting what you want on the card or on the figure, and then passing it to the next guy and going back and forth that way. Well, cool. This seems really interesting. What's the availability like on this? I know it was originally a Kickstarter project, so you're still fulfilling backers?
It was. Well, so the backer orders are literally going out right now as we speak, and we're going to be on store shelves August 13th. The backers should get their games a little bit early, a little bit before they're on store shelves. Cool. We owe them that, we think. We're going to have a big presence at Gen Con in Milwaukee, which is the big tabletop gaming show the week after that, and rolling out a bunch of cool product.
And you guys are in Seattle, right? So we'll see you at PAX
and we're at PAX, yes. Come play. If you're at PAX, please come by. We'll be playing and showing the game off.
So presumably, as this is the first in a line of board games, you guys have other plans for how you're going to expand Golem Arcana going forward, right?
Absolutely. So in fact, when we debuted debut on store shelves on August 13th. The first 4 expansions will all be out at the same time as the base game. And so each expansion comes with 3 new golems and a bunch of funky little cards we call relics, which are magic items the golems carry into battle. Give you lots of new cool options and that sort of thing. Okay. So the first 4 come out August 13th. Then there's basically a release or 2 every month. In September, this guy comes out. He is our
yeah, look at that.
Colossus. He's the Jagara Colossus, a gigantic golem. He is so powerful, in fact, that as he walks across the battlefield, he destroys all the terrain he steps on, leaving a wake of destruction.
Imagining he costs about 500 points. Right?
Something like that, yes.
Cool.
Build a whole army just to take him on.
Wow, awesome. Well, Ray, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks
for
I really
showing me the game.
It.
Thanks for coming.
Lots of fun. Thank you.
We were lucky enough to be invited out here this week by Ubisoft, who wanted to show off a couple of their upcoming games. So we got to speak to some of the developers. The first game that we're going to take a look at is Far Cry 4, one I have personally been excited for months now. You are at Ubisoft Toronto, and you guys are sort of focusing on the Shangri-La part of the game.